Okay, well, we're 3 minutes past, so we might as well start. There's a little bit of housekeeping to get out of the way first. I'll try run through that pretty quickly, and then hand it over to Ken and the Blockstreet guys. Welcome along, everyone. This is a special edition to our weekly Rocket Pool community call. So obviously, since you're all listening, you made it to the right place. You know that we're running this from the Rocket Pool account rather than Ken or Jasper's Twitter account. So that's one change. And then, of course, we are again at the earlier Euro-friendly time, back to back. So great to have Ken with us. He's kindly agreed to host 2 spaces. And not to worry, Jasper will be back on very soon. If you can't tell from my accent, your friendly talking rocket today is Mav. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Rocket Pool's Community and Marketing Manager. And we're joined by 2 special guests from Bloxroot Labs. We've got Ben up here from Business Development, and then Dan, who is the lead senior developer. So we'll be chatting with them about Mev Boost and block building. I would expect that to take up quite a bit of time. And usually on this call, we would also go through the bi-weekly update, which, if you've had a read, is also likely to take up quite a bit of time. So we'll use the time remaining to go through maybe some of the highlights, some of the topics that, without my Australian colleagues, we can cover off, and then anything remaining from the bi-weekly, we'll leave that to the chit chat in a couple of days' time, which is in the Rocket Pool Discord, and we'll kind of carve out a little bit of that and run it similar to the community call. We'll have Jasper hosting, we'll have Langas answering the questions, and we'll record that segment and get that up on YouTube, so nobody misses out. Obviously, we've got some pretty smart people up here, and to be honest, I've kind of done my bit, which was to get all this up and running. So without further ado, I will pass over to the Bloxroot guys to give a brief introduction about themselves, and then Ken will take us through the next hour or so, and lots of exciting topics to cover off. So glad you could join, and Ben and Dan, over to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you for having us. Really appreciate Rocket Pool. So one correction: I'm not the lead developer. I'm actually the senior product manager. So, but I will try my best to answer any technical related question as well if we have enough time. So at Bloxroot, I'm handling from product design to implementation development and some of the operation here. I'm glad to be here to tell you a little bit more about what Bloxroot do in the MEV community and talking about the MEV relay services we provide. And Ben.
Yeah, pleasure to be here with you guys. I work on the business and development end of things, and I'll be here to answer any additional questions that Daniel passes off to me.
Well, excellent, Ben and Daniel. It's very nice to meet you. My name's Ken, and I'm a first and foremost a Rocket Pool node operator, as well as a community member that gets to kind of host these calls. And one of the things that I thought would be very helpful on today's call is, many of our node operators are just now really exploring or engaging in Mav and understanding what it means to be the block proposer. But can you just take a step back and explain us, like we're 5, what Mav is, and in particular what Bloxroot's role is in the process?
Sure, absolutely. So Mav, initially everybody called this miners extractable value, due to the fact that during the POW period, this function can be only done by those miners. Nowadays, it's called maximum extractable value. Demonstrate how much ETH profit can be not necessarily ETH profit, but like the cryptocurrency profit can be generated through the block proposing process. So if you are interested in, and I know there's a lot of mystery about this stuff, and it's pretty niche market, I would say. There's a lot of good resource out there, especially from one of our best partner, Flashbots. There's a lot of articles, scholar contents over there, so you can find. Just go to Flashbot's website, you can find those contents. Now, today we are mainly talking about like the new supply chain of the MEV post merge. So I think one particular things what we want to talk about is the MEV relay. Why we are doing this, and what is the purpose of having the MEV relay in this supply chain. So if you think about the MEV, it's first start with a user submitted a transaction, right? So there's a lot of opportunities to extract MEV. It could be something like bad front running, but also could be some arbitrage opportunity back running, which is actually pretty good to the community. So there is a bunch of people called searcher or builders in this field, and they have their specialties in the their algorithm to find those extractable opportunities. Then they will need to submit this to whoever the next block proposer in order to extract those values. However, in today's POS ecosystem, the proposals are highly distributed or decentralized. Even though there is a lot of criticism that there is some big players in this field, but they are distributed. So how to build the trust between the builders and the proposer is something what Bloxroute and Flashbots are trying to do, is to creating a relay, which is trusted by the both party. Otherwise, there's a lot of other potential issue like MEV stealing or those kind of situation could be happens between if the builders and the proposer communicate directly. So that's why initially Flashbots and Bloxroute introduced this MEV relay in order to help the community to generate MEV and to distribute the revenue, the profit in a fairly manner. I don't know if that helped you to get a general idea about the supply chain. And yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, no, very, very good. And so, with Bloxroute, what role do you play? Are you just the relay? Are you also a builder? Are you a searcher? Are you all three?
Yes, that's a good question. I will say we are we are doing pretty much everything. So we do have our builder, we have our MEV relay. So that the quick answer to that is yes, we are doing both roles.
Okay. And can you help maybe explain something you may not know, but in our Rocket Pool software, we can actually just check a box, right, to join any one of three Bloxroute relays, and they're named the ethical relay, the maximum profit relay, and the regulated relay. Can you explain the differences on each of those names and what do they mean?
Absolutely. That's a fabulous question, because we do hear we have been asked a lot about what are the difference between three different relays. So there are three relays we provide. The first one is called max profit. By the way, you can also find our three relays payers account by doing Bloxroute max profit.eth. We have set up the ENS, so it's easier to see. So and the other two are the similar, like blocks route dash ethical dot east, and the third one blocks route dash regulated dot eth. So the difference for max profit. The reason of max profit is basically we don't do any filtering. What that says is it includes every transaction. Either it's front running or it's OFAC consent censor their address. We don't care. This is in order to demonstrate that some people, it is because some people in the community, especially in the blockchain community, are for the fully decentralization and and the non-governments. So we do want to provide these options for whoever willing to do that. And the second one is called ethical. This relay provides blocks that have no front-running bundles, and we try our best to filtering out any ME bundles that execute strategy like centralizing, front-running, and the sandwich attack. So this one is censored front-running, and but it's not censored OFAC. The third one is regulated. Regulated is because nowadays there is a lot of companies are operated under the regulation from their local government. So we provided a relay that filtering out all the OFAC censored address. So there is no transaction will be allowed in. You won't see any transaction from that relay. But that will not censoring the front running or other behaviors. So those are the difference.
Oh, excellent! Thank you very much for that kind of explanation there. One thing you may not know is that Rocket Pool is right now kind of engaging in some community discussion among our membership about whether or not we should be requiring MEV boost to be turned on our nodes, right? As a pooled or liquid staking protocol, right? We are staking on behalf of individuals that purchase the RETH token, and we want to remain competitive and earn as much returns on their investment as possible, right? And so we're kind of debating the pros and cons of requiring MEV extraction to be turned on our node operators' nodes. Can you maybe share your perspective about a couple of questions here that might help us evaluate what we want to do? And the first question is: do these relays do they pose a centralizing risk? Is by using a relay, are we starting to decentralize Ethereum or centralize Ethereum?
Okay, that's a good question. So, all right. So, Vitalik proposed what we call the builder and proposer separation. One of the reasons why we talk about that is because the argument of centralization. We all know that we encourage or we want the Ethereum to be decentralized, right? However, the fact is, doing MEV, it's a very specialized job. So there is a potential that MEV relay will become relatively centralized. And the fact is, most of the MEV block being proposed these days are coming from Flashbot and Bloxroute, which accumulate totally roughly about I would say 90 plus percent. So if that means it's a centralization, it's actually no, because we encourage the existence of relay is simply to build the trust between two decentralized parties, which are the builders and the proposer. So we just trying to bridge the gap between these two parties where they are also fully decentralized. we encourage this builder to be more decentralized, and the proposers on the other side are also very decentralized. So if we look, this supply chain in general is still decentralized. Like we won't be able to control what our builders are building and what the proposers are going to choose from. So I won't say it will be centralized. And both Flashbots and the Bloxroute are encouraging any other parties or new entities to enter in this field to provide other MEV relays as well. Because we like if we talk, when we talk to customers, we always told them like connect to as many relays as possible if you can, and in order to get the best result and the best yield for yourself and also for the decentralization. So in summary, I won't say it's a centralization concern.
Okay, so the argument is that the relays are basically neutral, right? That as long as there's a set of relays to choose from, you have options, and the builders are independent and decentralized, and the proposers are independent and decentralized, and so all things taken together, it's still a very decentralized method. It doesn't pose a centralizing risk.
Correct.
Okay. What about the reliability-ness of these relays, right? I mean, if we're thinking about making it mandatory that we enroll in them, I've noticed, many of us have struggled a little bit, especially the Bezu users among us. Have noticed a little bit about reliability post-merge, and then the relays are adding another complexity of sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. What are your thoughts about reliability in the relays, and what are kind of your goals with that?
That's also a very good question, because first thing first, we only post the merge for like 2 weeks. There is a lot of things are undergoing. A lot of bugs are fixing under the hood. At Bloxroute, we do notice like there is one small accident, like I think 1 week after the merge, and it lead to a couple hours of downtime. So what is our approach is we take the responsibility. We respond timely to fixing that bug, which was and we probably won't be able to dig into too much details, but it was a bug that I only identified it on the mainnet instead of the testnet. So we fixed the bugs within a few hours after the accident, and we noticed there is a few our trusted user who misproposed their blocks. I think it's roughly about like 80 to 100 blocks, and we actually compensated them from our pocket because they are our trusted users, and they by using our services, they missed to propose a couple blocks, and so we decided to compensate out of our pocket. So that's the responsiveness I want to demonstrate here from our end. But talking about reliability. So one thing we always encourage our users to do is connect to many relays as if possible, because it's inevitable. Some our server might down, Flashbots might down from time to time. So if you have other relays to choose from, you always have a backup plan. And I'm pretty sure everybody, especially Bloxroute, are trying our best to provide, the strong infrastructure, as strong as that we can, to eliminate any potential downtime. And we are learning from the past. It's people saying the entire blockchain industry is new, and the post-merge stuff is even newer. Like a lot of things we even though we had went through the Raptornet merge, like other shadow forks, like we tested it again and again, but there's always something unexpected could happen. So you should expect some downtime, but one, if you connect to multiple relay, there is a very minimum impact on your from a validator to a validator. Second, use trusted relay provider like Flashbar, Bloxroute. We always we take the responsibility if there is a accident caused by our company. So I hope this help answer the question. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. And I was very, I suppose, pleased, but also surprised to see that you were reimbursing folks for the relay down. And I know it kind of created a little bit of kind of discussion on crypto Twitter about if that was even the responsibility of the relay to reimburse the amount. So I very much commend you for your position on there, and think it will start kind of a precedence in that area. Which kind of begs the question: how do the relays make money? Do you make any cut or commission on the MEV through the relay?
So one thing I want to add a little bit to your last question is why we're making compensation, right? How much those proposers are losing. So being a proposer, you have the responsibility to propose a block, and using a relay, you only receive the header of the block. And if you committed to that header, and you will receive the rest of the transaction or the detail of the block, and in order for you to propose. But in the last accident, when the proposer committed to the header, but they didn't receive the block. So that in that case, what that means is they committed to Bloxroute's block. However, we failed to deliver. That's why we said we should take the responsibility to compensate them. I think it's like you said, why do we do that, right? I think it's just because we want to demonstrate we don't want to jeopardize our reputation in this industry. We have been in the Ethereum or EVM blockchain infrastructure industry for many years, since 2017. We have lots of trusted users, so we definitely want a good reputation for that. All right, move on to the next question: how to make money, right? At Flashbots, definitely our traditional business is the BDM services. So we provide the best performance infrastructure pretty much on the market for traders, for miners, or nowadays validators to use, which end up for you with faster access to the blockchain data and faster propagation. So it is very important for lots of our trader users, for those DeFi algo trader users. And we do charge subscription fee based on the tiers they subscribe. That's one business revenues we have. And as to the relays, there is a fee could be collected, but we are not trying to do that or intended to do that at this moment, because we want we want more validators to participate in our network. So yes, so I don't know if this helped you.
Yeah, no, I think those answer the questions really well, and I think your distinction that the reason you reimbursed in this case is that the proposers already signed the headers and they've committed to your block, and it was a failure to deliver the block that is ultimately what caused them to submit empty blocks, right? Because they can't submit anything else without fear of slashing. So But if your relay just goes down and somebody hasn't signed the header, then the fact that you're down is really, it's not a reimbursable event. They should be getting blocks from other relays or building them
Exactly.
themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. And thank you for kind of explaining some of the economics behind the relays. It was always kind of a mystery of me, but it's kind of the ancillary services and the reputation that are of most value. And so it
It
sounds
is.
like, at least initially here, your relays are a service provided to add value, and you're not really extracting the value out of it.
Yeah, we definitely value our reputation for sure. Yeah.
Excellent. So I mentioned before that the Rocket Pool community is, now has kind of a governance discussion going on about when and where to enable MAV, right? We have something called the smoothing pool, which many of our node operators, the majority of our node operators and many of our mini pools subscribe to, that kind of distribute the MAV, right? Right now, we've turned it on since the relay started activating about 2 weeks ago, and we've already earned about 81 ETH collectively in the smoothing pool, and are looking forward to that first distribution here in a couple of days. Yeah, really nice. And so we're having discussions about how do we provide the maximum value to our ETH holders. These are our liquid staking token holders that aren't running nodes but are participating in the liquid staking. And, there's a strong argument that in order to remain competitive with other services, both centralized and decentralized services, we have to provide a very good or competitive return on the APR. And of course, that means activating MEV, because it plays such a significant amount of the post-merge returns on a validator. What do you think of that? Do you see any challenges in us mandating that our nodes turn on one or more of these MEV relays? What do you see as the pros and cons to that?
That's a good question. A lot of people always think about like the MEV as a bad thing, but I have to say it's not necessarily the case. Just think about those backgrounding transactions, right? It actually helped the entire DeFi market to be more efficient. It doesn't mean MEV always a bad thing. That's why we have this ethical MEV relay, which we filtering out all those like bad MEV, which are pretty famous, like front running sandwich attack. These things are we trying to avoid, and this relay can be used by like entity or DAO or whatever communities like yours, because one, to be competitive, you definitely want a higher yield. To enable MEV definitely help your yield. Second, using the ethical relay demonstrate that all the revenue you generated are actually good for the community, and you can you will be easily to find out by like just go to Bloxroute ethical.eth. You can tell what are the receivers like getting those ethical MEV. So that's also a good way to demonstrate you are being, trying to be the good guys in the ETH community. I think that will help you guys to make the decision, like to turn on the MEV. So again, I just want to emphasize that not every MEV are necessarily bad. Sometimes it just helps the entire ecosystem to be more efficient. Just think about in the Wall Street, why there is market makers, and are they always bad? There, people always thinking like a Wall Street or the Wolf of the Wall Street, they are bad guys, but it's because the existence of all those traditional financial institutions over there, they make the nowadays this this huge financial system to running efficiently. So
yeah. Well, thank you very much for kind of that reasoning and justification. I mean, it's one of those things where I think we're trying to debate and understand, and so any perspective you share, I think, is very very helpful to our community. There was actually one request that came in our community channel. It's called Trading, the Trading channel in Rocket Pool that came in. We have one of our rocket scientists that just runs an excellent kind of analytical website on everything Rocket Pool. The website's called Rocket Scan, and I guess I guess he was saying that he uses it to kind of track whenever we get proposals as to what relay it went through and some stats about the the tips, the MEV, the top bidder, what relay it went through. But I guess that IP is banned from Blocks Route. Maybe you thought it was a bot or somebody probing the network. But we wondered if we might be able to get that IP unblocked.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I'm just looking at the rocketscan.io, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
cool. Yeah, but definitely mark that down. Let's talk to the team and make sure it's not banned by Blocks Route.
Okay. And I've got one last prepared question, and I'd like to kind of open it up to any members that are on the call here and trading to either post a question or ask it. But a couple last questions from my list here is one of the reasons that I think we're needing relays is we don't have a way to ascertain whether or not somebody is stealing their own MEV and not sending it to the smart contract fee recipient addresses we have that share it equally with our liquid staking partners. And so, but by using a relay, right, and the analytics that they provide, we can actually see that indeed their bid payment, what I call the proposer payment value (PPV), was indeed sent to one of our smart contracts that distributed fairly among the Rocket Pool folks that earn a share of that. But we've always kind of debated about the ethicalness of MEV, and I do like your thought about if we run the ethical relay, all we're doing is rebalancing the markets, right? We're actually providing a service. But is there any interest in Blocks Route in running a no MEV relay, kind of a fair ordering relay, if there could even be such a thing?
Fair ordering relay? Can
yeah,
yeah.
One that's just based upon, a tip price, right? They're in the exact order that either they see chronologically, that some relay node sees chronologically, or they're just based upon exactly by the inclusion fee price on the transaction itself.
That, I mean, if just based on the transaction fee, you pretty much can do that just using the client you have, the ETH2. But that's a good question. I mean, it's definitely durable, but right now we don't have a plan for that yet. Just to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I don't know if that really, to be honest, I don't even know if that really solves our problem. The issue is that, if we trust each individual node to just do a fair ordering based upon inclusion fee, if they're inserting their own searches, their own bundles into it, but if there was a trusted relay that was doing it, then there might be a way. And again, we don't know because obviously if we don't extract the MEV, even the ethical MEV, then we are not as competitive, and are we doing a disservice to our ETH holders or not? That's kind of the question the community as a whole needs to be answering.
Yeah.
So let me open it up to questions among our community members. But before we do that, Daniel or Ben, are there any other things that we didn't cover in these questions that you feel is important for our node operators or our liquid staking holders to know that we haven't talked about yet?
Sure. So you kind of mentioned quite a lot about like the debate your community have on how to be more competitive, but there's always some pushback on turning on the MEV relay, right? So I just want to demonstrate like how much potential it could bring to you guys if you do use MEV relay. We have been monitoring the entire performance on the after the post merge, and we do see that there's a lot of good potential. There are some blocks includes over like tens, or at the peak time we do saw like there's one time there's a 30 E's in one single block. That's how much revenue you potentially can extract by using the MEVs. And again, I want to emphasize this, like try to use both MEV from Bloxroute and Flashbots. We do see from time to time the validator only connected to Flashbots and lose some potential like MEV opportunity up to like 10 ETH. We just saw those like a couple of days ago, like a couple of times. You probably will see like 1 or 2 times at least from a day, roughly about like 10 ETH opportunity. So that's how much revenue potentially you guys can generate by doing that. Right now, the Flashbots and the Bloxroute contribute are definitely the two service provider on the market. We contribute like I said, combined over like 90-ish% of all the MEV booster block. So yeah, just to let you know, those are the facts. You guys have to decide eventually if you want to do or not.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing those facts with us. And I think that's indeed the point where we're kind of at, is we're, trying to understand as much as we can. So hopefully we choose the best decision for the protocol as a whole. But we are very, very knowledgeable about we've been calling them the lottery blocks. Those very rare but very lucrative blocks. And in fact, that's one of the things I think many of the folks have been very much enjoying the past couple of weeks with the smoothing pool, because although we forego the winning the lottery, we benefit from the collective win of the smoothing pool, and that's been fun. I think the biggest block it's got so far is just a little over 6 ETH, I believe it was, that we hit within a couple of days after the merge.
Yeah, yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that Ben, do you have anything else to add on?
No, nothing that comes to mind at the moment.
Yeah, I'm on this call here. I don't know. I might have to ask Mav if he sees anybody with their hands up. I didn't see any. Oh, wait a minute. There is a question here coming through in trading here. Yeah, perfect. Is there any research on how MEV will impact or cross over in multi-layer twos in a multi-oracle world?
I'm not quite aware about that. There's a lot of, actually you might find some articles from Flashbots. I do remember during one of the event hosted by Flashbots, they talking about like cross median or cross platform MEV MEV opportunities. So there are for sure, but I personally didn't got too much opportunity to dig in that particular field. So, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I think it's, that's the interesting thing, is I think we're kind of, as they say, at the frontier of so many things. At the edge of knowledge is known, right? I don't know what, multi, or cross layer 2 MEV looks like. Does it have to route through layer 1? What happens between cross-chain MEV and who gets the value out of it. There's just so many things in this ecosystem that are new and opportunities that are opening that I think it's going to be a brave new world to explore here.
Agree.
Yeah. So I don't think I see any other questions, unless there's anybody with their hand up. I'm just a speaker, not a co-host, so I can't see who else is asking, but maybe Mav can chime in.
No, I don't see anyone else, Ken.
By the way, I do remember one thing I probably want to mention is we did talk about like Bloxroute does charge subscription fee for our users, but it's mainly for the traders. And we actually won't gonna charge fees for validators who want to connect it to us. So just for the record.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Danielle, Ben, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the call here to explain Block's route and help us be educated a little bit more about MEV and all that's there. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come join our community call today.
We are so glad to be here. And
yeah, it's really been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, Mav, we've still got, according to my watch here, about maybe 15 minutes left in today's call. But I see a message that Joe has a sick daughter here, so everybody listening, please wish Joe well with dealing with the sick family there. But of the updates that we had here, the biweekly update, Mav, what are some of the important things that you think we might want to spend a little bit of time talking about here?
Yeah, let's run through a few of them, Ken. I do have to say, first of all, to echo your thanks to Dan and Ben for coming on today's Twitter space. For me personally, not being a node operator and not perhaps having the level of technical knowledge that some of the community members have, it was great to hear some of these rather complex topics explained in a very clear way. And I have to say, as an RETH holder, I hope it's encouraged some of our mini pool operators to turn that switch on and have the opportunity to grab some of those lottery blocks and share it out with everyone. So, yeah, just to make it clear, Dan and Ben, feel free to stay on the call if you like, but we're going to transition into a Rocket Pool update focus for the next 15, 20 or so minutes. But yeah, let's run through the latest bi-weekly update. I suppose we could skip the Smart Node R&D section and we could leave that for the community call, but we maybe have enough time to squeeze in the rest of the points, so we've got the stats overview and then governance. Let's just go with governance and media, see how we go with that.
Yeah.
Ken, how does that sound?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I mean, the one thing I will just do is maybe a public service announcement here. If there's anybody, and I doubt anybody listening to this isn't already updated, but definitely update to the latest Rocket Pool version 1.64. There were some improvements in there that were important, especially with Lighthouse and Bezu users. There's some updates in the releases channel, and I will mention that Bezu, if you don't know it already, is struggling with a couple of challenges that they have. So if you are a Bezu user and listening to this, definitely check on your node. It might be doing okay, but it also might need some TLC. So reach out and support if you're having difficulties on those. But yeah, Mav, let's talk about governance, I think.
Sounds good. I think first of all, though, I've just seen a Rocket Watch notification come through about a 7,900 ETH worth of RPL OTC swap. So that's definitely a bit of size there. I wonder if it was time to coincide with a Twitter space. Probably doubt it. If you've got that much funds, there's probably bigger things that you're concerned about. But hop into.
I mean, everything seems to happen when we're on this Twitter space call. Somebody's saying that there was a mention of Rocket Pool to Vitalik in an interview too. I gotta go check out.
Yeah, right. I was not the best at multitasking. I was thinking about loading it up to check, but that's on my list to do after the call. But I mean, yeah, it's not long after the bi-weekly update went out, and we're already getting a whole lot more exciting events rolling on through. So, yeah, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, hard to keep up with this space, but yeah, but go for it. Tell us what folks need to know here in 13 minutes or less about everything else.
All right, so let's start off with the stats update. We track 4 metrics in these bi-weekly updates. We have the RE supply, so that's grown by 15.7%. that's since the previous update. So in every year, not that growth is necessarily guaranteed. It could be higher for all we know, but it's an annualized growth of 410%. So pretty impressive stat there to start off with. And the other three metrics have also performed similarly well. So we've got our mini pool count up 13.6% to over 8,000. The effective RPL staked after a couple of bi-weeklies where that number has declined due to RPL exceeding the 150% collateralization cap and becoming ineffective. We've now seen that jump back up by 16.1%. Annualized growth rate of 420%. So nice to see that. And then our node operator count has grown 5.3%. There are also another couple metrics that are not tracked but are worth shouting out. I'm just scrolling down to find them. We ticked over 250,000 ETH staked and over 1,500 node operators. So it's all go in our first post-merge bi-weekly update. And from there, let's jump down.
I think we should just take a second to acknowledge those numbers. I mean, they are. I mean, we kind of hit those numbers and passed on them. I think we're so excited about where we're going, not where we're at. But damn, those are impressive numbers, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'd be interesting to track them over the next few bi-weekly updates. We do know that there's obviously a lot still to come in terms of some of these topics we might get to in the future, whether that's Maker integration, Chainline Oracle, Optimism grant funds. So I feel like perhaps we're just getting started here. And governance. So there's a few points to cover off in governance. First of all, big congrats to our newest rocket scientist, Valdorf. So the bi-weekly update includes a quote from Langers in the Discord announcement. And I'm sure everyone here would agree that Val has indeed demonstrated, quote, empathy and support for new members, provided constructive feedback, has improved Rocket Pool as a product, expressed valuable contributions to governance discourse, and helped to shape governance structure. So, on that topic of governance, we've had the PDAO, or the PDAO treasurer, Jasper, has put out the first of what will be a series of regular reports. So great to see that that organisation there, and the transparency of good reporting. And the next round of RETH liquidity incentives, there's a discussion ongoing in the DAO Governance Forum. All these topics are linked to for your convenience in the bi-weekly updates. So you can jump over to Reddit or follow the link in the Discord announcement, and you'll find all the links there to the topics we're talking about. In addition, there's some other discussions ongoing, and these include a draft RPIP structure for grants and bounties, and also a discussion relevant to this call today, which is what to do about the interaction of the smoothing pool and MEV Boost. I know obviously you can have put a lot of time into studying the smoothing pool. I don't know if you had any comments that you wanted to kind of add on this topic, or maybe we can carry on. But it's obviously right now MEV Boost not being a requirement and indeed being an opt-in feature has led to perhaps an imbalance in terms of eligibility for smoothing pool rewards, but not necessarily a fair contribution to those rewards in terms of capturing MEV Boost revenue.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought both of those up, because I do encourage everybody. Maybe you're just listening on the call, maybe you're listening to it on replay and podcast, but definitely take the time to look at these two. The first one, the grants and bounties, is so important because there is so much that I personally see that could be outsourced to the community in terms of a grant, right? Like, I know Joe's wanting to update the documentation and he is so excellent and talented on it, but he's also got other skill sets in terms of the client and the interface, and eventually we might need a graphical user interface, right? And so there are things we could outsource in writing a grant or a bounty to update the documentation or to provide better clip art or infographics or whatever we need. And I think that proposal will get a committee going that can start to help provide leverage to the team. And then on the smoothing pool and MEV, right, or just MEV in general, right, these are issue shades of gray, right? There is no real right or wrong unless we as a collective, a rocket pool community, come together and decide, okay, smoothing pool, maybe that's a little easier, there's no mooching, if you're going to be in it you have to be in MEV. Outside of it, I don't know where to draw the line, right? Is it only ethical MEV? Is it no MEV? What do we need to do? And I think, it's not something you can ask the devs, what's the right answer, or you can ask the rocket scientists, what's the right answer? It's really the community has to weigh in and say, as a community, we decide this is the right answer. So definitely read these things, comment, share your opinion, because we have to get both of these up to voting here in the near future.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for anyone on this call, anyone in the community, to have your say and to help shape what Rocket Pool might look like in the future, not only on this important topic, but everything else that's happening right now in our post-merge world. So I'll try and get back on track. I kind of skipped around a little bit, but another important topic that we have been talking about quite regularly on these calls is, of course, the important upcoming Atlas protocol upgrade. And that is another topic where feedback has been sought. There was a request from Langers in Discord a few days back seeking feedback in the DAO Governance Forum on what exactly should be included in this update. Obviously, there are a few considerations in terms of, for one, we obviously all want everything and we want it now, right? Staking as a service, LEBs, upgrades to support withdrawals. But in addition to balancing workload and team resource, there's an audit consideration. Although I have to say, while I'm not really directly involved in that, our auditors have been very helpful in doing their best to ensure that they're available to provide support for Atlas, and that they're not going to be kind of a sticking point in terms of releasing that upgrade. So big thanks there. In addition, we're also needing to kind of work alongside the main Ethereum core dev roadmap. So there's still a few question marks about what exactly will be included in the Shanghai update. And obviously the whole withdrawal topic is one that's being discussed quite a bit. As I understand, even within the kind of core dev team themselves, there's a bit of back and forth in terms of prioritization. So it's tricky enough to kind of create and roll out an update, but to have to do it while also taking on board what the Ethereum core devs are doing makes it even more difficult. But regardless, encouraging everyone to have their say in the DAO Governance Forum on what your thoughts are regarding Atlas. We also had voting close on an amendment to RPIP 10, I guess more of kind of an administrative update regarding the selection for PDAO committees. Won't spend too much time talking about that one. But with that, I think we've gotten through the governance topics. So perhaps we can jump down to media. I guess it really should be media and marketing. There's a few points here. I talk about the Rocket Pool Intern Twitter account quite a bit, but we do have tweets that are being fed through to the random channel in Discord. So if you're looking for a curated source of all the Rocket Pool happenings on Twitter, you can jump in there and see the ping cord bot, which is bringing through some of those tweets. And the 6.9 RPL tokens were also given away. That was announced, and the prize distributed to a supportive community member, which was great to see. And then in other prize news, the winners of the Bring Out Your Nose competition that was announced in Discord, and contact has been made with all of the winners. We've got their addresses, and the POAPs and RPL tokens will be sent out likely later in the week. And we do have a couple of those winners on the call today, I see, which is great to have you guys here with us. We've covered off the milestones that were reached. As Ken said, it's pretty exciting. I know for myself, just with the recent slew of large deposits into the deposit pool, it's very easy in this space to kind of get desensitized to some of these numbers, right? You see hundreds of ETH being deposited and then thousands of ETH being deposited, and all of a sudden it becomes an everyday occurrence. It's worth remembering that these stats are pretty impressive as they are. So it's a great achievement by the entire Rocket Pool community and protocol to be hitting these kinds of numbers. We had a POAP for Rocket Pool GitHub contributors that was announced, I believe, shortly before the merge. There were 15 of them claimed, so good to see a little bit of recognition there. And then we've also seen an increasing number of DAOs and other kind of organizations and parties who have either started to purchase RETH or are voting on the purchase of RETH for their treasuries. Even some spinning up mini pools as part of their treasury investment strategies. There's a list of a few in the update, in the bi-weekly update. But on a related note, which I kind of didn't include, but there've been quite a lot of different DeFi protocols and other kind of crypto projects reaching out. They tend to find their way to me. So I have to say right now I'm juggling quite a few DMs, and I can say for a fact that there's definitely an increased awareness and interest around what Rocket Pool is doing, which is great to see, of course. Certainly keeping me busy, but whether that's kind of merge hype or a reflection of some of the increased engagement that we've seen with Rocket Pool content on Twitter, a combination, some of the great stats that we've been hitting, definitely some pretty good momentum building there. Also,
that's great, man. But just don't let it go to the intern's head that his tweets are is what's causing our integrations. But it's great to see the fall, hopefully being the fall of integration for RETH. I think that's our next big area to build upon.
Yeah, for sure. I certainly spend a little bit of time on Twitter, and there's a whole lot of different accounts who are discovering Rocket Pool, who are posting kind of commentary analysis. They're thinking about the future of ETH staking and how Rocket Pool plays a part in that. So don't you worry, the intern will stay locked up in Dave's basement for the foreseeable future.
Excellent. Well, I think we're reaching the top of the hour here. The one other item I just want to kind of include here before we conclude is that Mav, you had posted this biweekly update in the channel up at the top, the protocol channel, and so I encourage everyone to go read it for all the details we didn't have a chance to cover, but even a third of it on today's call, there's a lot in there. And the one thing I'd like to just echo again and boost is the suggestion that everyone react to the message. Please don't react to the protocol biweekly post message. I suppose you can if you want to, but actually click the link at the bottom of that protocol biweekly post update. It's the one talking about Whack Whack, and I guess if we get 100 likes on that post, Whack Whack has to do something else on his great Rocket Full episode. So definitely find that post, react to it. We want to see 100 reacts to it.
Oh yeah, I think we shot well over that 100 some time ago. I actually I removed the link before my boss wakes up and finds it. So if you go to that protocol update, you won't find the link. But it is I guess a few hours back in trading, and we got we did get 100 reacts, or well over, I believe, on that post. So yeah. Whack Whack has to do something even more degrading and YouTube stereotype shout out or comment on one of his next episodes. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And of course, jokes aside, it's a great resource to stay up to date in between these bi-weekly updates and in between these calls. I mean, if the news and update throughput stays at this level, I don't know, we might have to go to a weekly update. Who knows? Said it a few times on this call so far, but definitely a lot going on, which is great to see.
Yeah, no, wonderful. Well, Mav, thank you again for joining us, and a special thanks again to our host, Daniel and Ben, for joining us from Blocks Route for it. And with that, I think we'll say goodbyes to everyone here.
Thanks again to having us.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Ben. And thanks, Ken. And thanks to everyone who've joined on this live Twitter space and who are watching it on YouTube. The recording will be up a few hours later on today. See you guys on the next call.